You're listening to Moonhawk Studios Presents. What is this? Where am I? This place is so strange to me.
Something madness box.
It's like, I do silent screaming, but you wouldn't be able to understand what I'm doing on the radio.
Well, let me start pantomiming to you.
This show is broadcast in American Sign Language. Shit, now I'm going to get letters. Oh, God. Welcome to what's left of Moonhawk Studios Presents. I'm your host, I hope. Mac Paladin.
I didn't vote for you.
Oh, shit.
I'm kidding.
There was an election?
Oh!
You're off the island. All right, welcome to another edition of Moonhawk Studios Presents. At last, we're finally here.
Somehow.
With me in the studio is my good friend Adam.
So we're just nothing but a smoldering crater right now.
That was a hell of a lead-in, you got to admit. I'm still sure we're going to get letters about that ASL reference, but I'll live with it as long as people understand that it was, you know what, fuck it, I'm done. Also here in the studio is Elemental Ogre, if he hasn't left.
So, does that mean I don't get my ventriloquist corner anymore?
It's like, I can't even see his lips moving on the air. Oh, goodness gracious. Petty fan on the technicals.
I'm not dead.
Golix, wearer of red hats.
Hi.
Twilight Winter is here.
Indeed I am.
And Kevin, whose last name I only pronounced correctly once, is also here with us tonight to reintroduce everybody to our Lefty podcast, which we will get to later in the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm here. My last name is Grusing for the record.
There you go. There you go.
So
I said it right the first time, and then suddenly I lost confidence.
Yeah.
It should probably have the two little dots over the U, but the America.
Oh, stop it already. You and your technicalities.
I'm just saying that's the difference between grusing and grussing.
Wow.
He's the linguist.
Yeah?
Would you say that he's a cunning linguist?
No. No. Get out.
Everybody's like, get out.
Get out right now.
Alex, I think he just called you a cunt.
Wow.
I don't think so. But
Yeah, you were close, but...
This is what happens when we're off air for a month, people.
Just get all the bad stuff out of your system, Mac. Just get all.
I'm an innocent bystander.
Oh God! There's a reason tonight's episode is called D-Famous, and we'll also get to that momentarily. But Adam, why don't you be our show's salvation and bring us the news?
I mean, the news. Well, the news is we actually have an episode of MSP.
Praise the Messiah.
Yeah, it's like, so we haven't been on air for about a month, maybe more. Like, I honestly kind of lost track there.
I needed a rest.
Like,
many
sometimes literally,
levels.
like you sometimes came in like, I need sleep, going to sleep, no MSP. So,
it was not a good 6 weeks.
Indeed. I'm like, Fragments of Silicon has been going, pretty much smoothly. It's like minor, like guest issues here or there, but we've been broadcasting throughout the entire break. So I'm like, we kind of instituted a necessary faux replacement show, I guess you could call it, called the Stream of Consciousness. That's where Petty Fan plays a game and we talk about shit. So it's not all that dissimilar from this program.
Only I'm not playing anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's amazing how easy the format can be replaced on paper. Now, yeah. Outside of that, we're coming off Thanksgiving break.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, personally, I had a very quiet Thanksgiving. There's only myself and mother in the area these days.
Yeah.
I'm like, so Thanksgiving dinner gets parsed down because of that. There's only 2 people, and there's no real point in doing a very elaborate traditional Thanksgiving thingamajig when there's only 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like this year, we just had turkey breast, not even the full turkey. Like,
no dark meat at all.
No dark meat. I
Is
hate
that legal? Oh, okay.
Like, damn well better be. I fucking hate dark meat. Like, don't take that out of context.
I guess it depends on how it's prepared.
Okay. Now I don't feel so bad all of a sudden.
Lord.
Anyway,
I feel slightly less bad about what I said.
I'm being earnest with that.
I get you.
It's like
Still,
because I know you people. Like, I know you people
Whoa,
way too well.
what's this you people stuff?
Oh boy.
Okay, all right. I'm backing up.
Okay. Before we get into actionable territory here. Anyway.
Yes, indeed. Sorry, we just have to get all the bad stuff out of our system since we've been off for so long.
Anyway, let's see. We had mac and cheese. We had mashed potatoes. We had salad. For dessert, we had popsicles and fruit. Nobody wanted pie this year.
Really?
Well,
Again, I'm not certain that's legal.
That's un-American.
America.
It's just the kind of thing that there needs more than 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
I apparently have 3 kinds of pie in my fridge right now.
Right. Anyway, for Black Friday, I got a new Xbox One controller.
Ooh.
Yeah. Got it for $25. It's wired, but honestly, after dealing with Microsoft's wireless Xbox 360 controllers for a long time, I don't miss the wireless.
Yeah. Like, unless you're using an actual Xbox, like, in an entertainment center system or somewhere, you don't need a wireless controller.
Well, it's more that the Xbox 360 wireless dongles kept breaking on me.
Yeah.
And they're getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah, and they made a new one for the Xbox One, which is now even more and more expensive.
Oh God, yeah. Like the base controller here is usually $50.
And then you're looking at almost another $50 if you need the wireless module.
Yeah, I'm like, so getting this for $25 was a pretty good bargain because, oh God, it feels good to have a, reasonable D-pad in the fingers again. Because the Xbox 360 D-pad is terrible.
Yeah, that's why I mostly use my PS4 controller.
Yeah, the Xbox One D-pad is actually, it feels pretty nice. I haven't had the chance to play a proper 2D game because the games we're playing aren't those that need a D-pad. So, the analog sticks feel smaller, but they don't have those stupid ridges that wore out. Now I could go on and on, but we do move forward. So I'm like, let's see, any other news? Well, I suppose there's various fragments things. Like, I did talk to my cousin recently, and we're going to be having him on my show at the end of January. So, not looking forward to that. because it's always different when you have family around.
You think he's not listening to this program?
It's, like,
You're like, no, you'd be correct. Nobody's listening to this program.
like the family doesn't tend to listen to my stuff anymore. Like, so,
Oh boy.
like that's gonna be fun. But yeah, Fragments is continuing on, and it's like I think we mentioned this last month, but we did meet all of the Twitch affiliation requirements. We haven't gone in on Twitch affiliation because we haven't figured out some logistics yet, mainly because Mac hasn't been around for a month plus.
Yeah, we'll get that settled so that way we can actually figure out if anybody's ever going to get paid, including myself.
Well, there's also transfer issues that some of us have to deal with, and but that's talk for another time. I think that's about it for me. Ogre, over to you.
Yep.
Life's been pretty all right. Nothing really big. Went to my sister's for Thanksgiving, which is the first time none of us really had to cook in our house, so it was nice. Let's see, recordings are going fine. We're still having fun with Doom because it's Doom. Still waiting on Doom 2 at some point. Let's see. Other than that, just been playing my games. I'm working on Pokemon Ultra Sun right now. It's vastly a lot more fun than Sun was, so kind of makes me mad that Sun wasn't a lot better, but whatever.
I hear there are some significant plot changes that are not all necessarily for the better later on, but I do like all the added little vignette things that you can participate in.
I haven't gotten that far. I'm about to take on the electric trial, so. But yeah. Other than that, this has so far been a lot more fun than Sun was. Like it was all right, but could have been better, and this is apparently the better. But other than that, not a whole lot.
All right. Petty fan.
Well, not really a whole lot's happened in the month other than we had to get a dumpster to do some major house cleaning. So
I hear you're living in the cupboard under the stairs. Mr. Potter.
And yeah, so we got that all taken care of. There's still some more cleaning to do, which I'm working on, because we're going to be getting DirecTV installed next Friday. So I need to do some, run some new cabling, because my parents sleep during the day, and we'd rather not a DirecTV guy be trampsing all through the house trying to install cable when I can just do it myself while my parents are at work.
Inquiry. What does the word tramsing mean?
Trampsing or whatever. English is hard. Fuck
Combination of
off.
tramp and trapes.
Tramping and traipsing?
Yes, fuck off. English is hard.
Hey, if you can glump, then that works.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Anyway,
Yes.
Thanksgiving was really quiet. Not a whole lot happened. And Black Friday, I got myself and my parents Google Home Minis, and I got Persona 5 for the PS4. So, been playing that when I have some time. Anyway, I think that's it for me.
Right, Alex?
Thanksgiving was pretty quiet for me. We had my uncle up. He was here for almost a week, which was a little bit stressful to have him up because it's more people, but it's always nice to have him, and he always brings a lot of food, which is nice. So we had a lot of good stuff. We actually had I think we only had like thighs and breast of turkey, but it worked well, and we had lots of other side stuff.
I'm a big fan of the breast and thighs.
Yeah.
Well then.
It's funny how an innocuous statement suddenly becomes lascivious.
Uh-huh. Anyway, work has been a pain in the butt because we're doing a major renovation, and right now pretty much everyone is basically in the conference room or in various I'm in what had been a closet, although previously it had been an office. For I don't know, maybe the next 2 weeks, which is not a ton of fun, let me tell you.
Oh, so you're the one living under the stairs.
Unfortunately, well, we don't have stairs. We have an elevator. I'm not on the elevator, thank God.
I'm trying to concoct an appropriate Faulty Towers reference.
Yeah.
It's not coming to me.
Anyway, it's huge. It's been very stressful because there have been lots of smells and noises that I do not like going on. So. It's been frustrating.
The next handcart to hell will be departing at 9:30.
I didn't go out on Black Friday. I did pick up a board game for my sister for Christmas on Small Business Saturday at the local game store. So that's nice, since she really likes board games. And I've been playing Mario Odyssey. That's still holding my attention as I already beat the game, but I'm going back through to collect all the other stuff that you can get after you break the moon rocks, so. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I actually haven't really started Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon yet because I haven't had a good time. And you need to sit down for like a good chunk of time to get through the early part of those, but I'm planning on doing that this weekend if I can, and other than that, I'm got a game to work on for the show starting later or tomorrow.
Okay. Twilight.
Well, Thanksgiving was pleasant. We had lots of nice food for everybody. Well, the holiday rush at work has calmed down quite a bit since last week, thankfully, and they'll probably be starting back up about 1st of December. I forgot to mention this on Fragments, but we got our tree up already. The same day as Thanksgiving, I think. I didn't participate in Black Friday, but I did during the weekend get Story of Seasons off the 3DS eShop. And it's been a good game so far. Not much else going on around here. So that's it for me.
Okay. Kevin Grusing, welcome back to the program.
Pleasure's mine. Well, on my front, on Thanksgiving morning, we had to do a little early Thanksgiving than pretty much everybody else because we went to my brother's and he had work at Walmart on Thanksgiving night. So we had to like get up very early and head to my brother's house and have like Thanksgiving dinner, quotes in air, at about 2 o'clock.
Implying that's not unusual.
Well, you would feel it's unusual because it's the full Thanksgiving dinner at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But
we've done that many a time.
Well,
it's kind of a Midwestern thing.
Yeah, it's kind of new for me, but anyway, so yeah, Thanksgiving was fine. Black Friday wasn't really a thing in our house considering it's just me and Dad, and we're basically waiting on what we're doing for Christmas based on a situation involving a member of the family. And depending on that, we'll be either heading for Minnesota or Atlanta. It just depends. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet around here.
All right, cool. All right, well, people haven't heard from me in quite some time, so I guess I better get right to it. First of all, jokes aside, I think everybody who listens to this podcast knows by now that we have the utmost respect for just about everybody except for literal Nazis and the right and President Trump. I'm sure this list will get longer, but we only have an hour.
I was about to say, you don't have to put the president part on there. He hasn't earned that title yet.
Yeah, so it's like I always try to be well aware of where the line is, and while we do get pretty raucous with each other here on the podcast, I just want everybody to be aware that we don't have any disrespect for any group of individuals or any specific individuals, except for those specifically noted in the end credits.
Correct.
We try to run a pretty clean podcast, for the most part. I mean, we swear a little bit, but
this show is looser than Fragments. I will say that.
True, but and we joke about it all the time. But I don't really like going into what we used to call Mike territory.
No, that was bad,
which is a shame because I'm sure it was not deliberate on his part. But yeah, it's like, so before everybody gets on their hate mail, I know I joke about it all the time, but before everybody gets on their hate mail, it's like, just say, hey, that wasn't cool. We like to hear feedback to know how we can improve. So if the joke hits the ear like tin, understand that we have the best of intentions.
We're just not very funny.
We're also partially terrible human beings, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah. I believe the term is misanthropic.
Nah, I don't miss it.
There is, of course, before I get into any other aspects of the news, there is a bit of an important announcement. The reason Kevin is here tonight again is because we will be introducing our left-leaning podcast fairly soon. Since there is a show now called The Last Podcast on the Left and has been for over a year, we've decided that instead of calling ourselves The Last News Desk on the Left, we're going to call ourselves The Portside Crucible, which is a bit of an obtuse title if you're not familiar with nautical terminology, but the port side is the left. And the crucible is where things go to burn. Or be melted, which
or
I guess...
on people. No.
Well, I was going to say that slagging is popular sport in politics, so it's oddly appropriate.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that. What we're going to do is we're going to be introducing it as a segment of MSP going forward. So we're going to have to look at the timing on this, but we might extend the length of the show back to the way it was in 2011. So that way we can accommodate an actual, legitimate, intelligent, we hope, political discourse. I don't think 10 or 15 minutes would be enough for us to be able to do that. We're not as tight as the writers on, Late Night with Seth Meyers.
No.
I don't think we can do a closer look that tightly.
No, we can't do 5 minutes.
Not these days.
Not these days.
You can do 6 hours of this and not get everything.
Yeah. So we're going to try to figure out a way to incorporate a half-hour segment without everybody becoming comatose before we get there.
Like, considering it's politics, I'm like, that'll angry up the blood.
Or we'll pass out beforehand just to make sure.
Yeah.
Work has actually progressed over the last 6 weeks on a repilot of the Starship Moonhawk animated series. After lengthy deliberation, Keith and I, we talked about this off and on for weeks, and we've decided that we're going to go ahead and take a slow blade pierces the shield approach to this. We're going to take our time. We're developing assets. I'm trying to find a 3D set designer that can produce within our budget, which is to say not much. We need to get the bridge set of the Starship Moonhawk completed for the opening sequence of the death of Perseus. Somebody fidgeting with their chair?
Sounds more like a keyboard to me. Or a controller.
But anyway, we're gonna resume work on the death of Perseus. We still have all the dialogue from the audiobook, and just for the record, in case I haven't stated this plainly enough in previous broadcasts, there will be no audiobook. We've decided to go forward with full animation, full steam ahead. We're reworking the theme song. We're getting dialogue. I'm in negotiations with Marina Sirtis's agent to try and get her to do the roughly 90 seconds worth of dialogue that is in the teaser so we can introduce the character of Vice Admiral Elena Taylor. Which is kind of a big deal because we're trying to raise our profile a little bit with this. Obviously, it's a stunt, but it's intended to be a recurring role if she's interested. It's not supposed to be a one-time deal. It's not a one-off deal just to get donors. We intend to do a 12-episode first season that will start with the pilot being a roughly half-hour fully animated feature with anime-styled assets using the techniques that FX uses for the show Archer. That's why we need a 3D modeler for the sets. Keith is already designed. Keith Wood, I guess I need to clarify that. Keith Wood, I'm calling him production designer and co-executive producer, is what are you doing?
What's he doing?
I don't know. You're just like in the twice.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to forward along. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. He's got the model about 90% completed for the 3D model. So instead of using static images and doing this, filmation circa 1973 style, we're going to go for something a bit more sophisticated. So we're going to work on the teaser act, which is about 3 minutes, and a new opening credits sequence with a reworked theme song that's only 1.5 minutes long. And I'm pretty excited about that because I think not only is this a bit more ambitious, but as a result, because of the improvements in quality and who we're trying to attach to the project, I think we're going to have a little better chance at success this time. Especially if we can make it look good. So, and I'm still working on the novels. The webcomic hasn't updated in almost as long as this podcast, so gonna fix that shortly. I've got more pages to put up. So that will resume very soon. And that's kind of it. I'm not really going to talk about Thanksgiving because my folks don't like me talking about family on the air. There's not much to say. We actually had an extraordinarily pleasant holiday.
I have a family. That's it. Well done.
Yeah, well, little to no acrimony, and the food was good. And my dad actually made stuffing inside the turkey again. So
don't tell the health nuts or whoever it is that's against that now.
Don't tell Alton Brown. Actually, Alton Brown has gone back on that, and he said, well, you can. Just make sure you get the thermometer all the way to the center and make sure it's 165 degrees or whatever.
Right. Because that's the main concern, right, is health.
Well, there's that, but also that it also stuffing can dry out the turkey, as will over-basting, which a lot of people do to try to compensate for putting the stuffing in the bird. So, but I mean, it's not stuffing if it's not in the turkey. I mean, come on.
Then if it's not in the turkey, it's just kind of bread cubes.
Right, and also make sure that you put your toilet paper facing.
If it's not in the turkey.
Yeah, and also make sure that you put your toilet paper facing out.
Because that's dropped as a child.
Facing out?
Yeah.
You mean down?
Exactly.
This savage was dropped as a child, clearly.
Let me tell you something. That's how it's drawn in the fucking patent from 1893. Okay. You put your paper
You can
out.
argue that all you want, but it's still GIF, not GIF.
I'll remember that when I'm watching a herd of giraffes running through the Serengeti.
I'm now seeing some weird, 50-year-old men in weird leather suits gyrating
giraffe.
now.
I said giraffe.
No, you said giraffe.
Yeah.
Well, it's giraffe.
I bet he calls euros here gyros anyway.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Speaking of ridiculous arguments on the internet.
Segue.
The title of tonight's episode is Defamous for a reason. So apparently somebody tried to sock puppet me on a certain user group on Facebook that will remain nameless. I'll give you a hint. It's about a show that I like a lot. And it only has 4 admins and 32,000 members.
That's not a good ratio.
Whenever there isn't a new episode of the show, the entire place turns into a cesspool of spamming, and if you name it, if they could find a way to subtly slip in a racial slur or a homophobic or transphobic remark, or you just name it, any evil that you could possibly mention, some maybe pro-Nazi propaganda is next or something like that. Who knows? I don't even know at this point. This is why I'm making sure that this is clear, that this is an opinion, because God forbid I should be accused of defaming anyone.
Yeah, I think there's a term for that kind of posting, and it involves an S word with 4 letters in it.
I was literally trying to think of something funny to say in response. I was like, come on, 4-letter words with S that are not... Okay, anyway. Does it involve fecal material?
Maybe.
So anyway, the whole place devolved. The whole... Side posting?
Spud.
I was offering my own. Get out. I was offering my own suggestion. Thanks for playing.
Oh.
You get no points.
Spit posting? Anyway.
There's always scud posting. I heard that was popular in Iraq a few years ago.
Wow.
What the fuck, dude?
It's not been 22 years, sir.
I have nothing to say about that.
No, I'm not going to do it. I was going to say something absolutely horrible, and I stopped myself. I'll tell you in post. Oh, God. Oh, man. So, yeah, so I'm on this forum, and there's this guy, and he's posting utter nonsense. And I kept correcting him, and then all of a sudden he stopped responding to me. So then he reposted this nonsense to the wall, and I called him out on it, and then he posted something else that was... I mean, as far as homophobic offenses, this was really mild. So this is why I'm taking a sort of jokey stance against it, because I'm just like, yeah, whatever, you suck, bro. Blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden I start getting attacked by a sock puppet account telling me that the so-and-so that I'm allegedly defaming is going to prosecute me for that, and is taking me to federal court. Spoiler alert. There's no such thing as federal court for defamation. It's a civil matter. You can't do anything about it. And as J. Jonah Jameson once famously said, I take offense to that. I've never slandered anybody. Besides, written word is libel. Which I also pointed out, and I pointed out that libeling somebody about libel is also libel. All kinds of hilarity ensued, and I did back out of the thread and I left the group because it was pretty toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But it just struck me as hilarious. I guess I've really finally arrived that I pissed off somebody so badly that they felt the need to create a sock puppet account to threaten me with legal litigation over something that it literally could have been handled by Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I wouldn't have gotten deleted because I didn't say anything defamatory. I didn't use any foul language whatsoever. I didn't call anyone names. They certainly called me names, which is hilarious. Accused me of harassment when it's like, what the fuck is this stuff you're doing right here? You're obliquely getting your crew to attack me. Oh my God, my cat is going crazy here. Even she agrees this is bullshit. Just, I don't know. I spent a good few days obsessing about this because I always worry about the insanity factor of the internet. What if somebody actually is serious, even if they can't possibly do anything realistically to me? I always worry about this. That's why I put that huge disclaimer in my news segment here. It's like, look, we're not trying to offend anyone. We say things that are wildly inappropriate. We're very Archer-esque sometime on this show. But it's never with the intent to harm anyone, including each other. I don't know. Kevin, since we're going to be doing the Portside Crucible, what do you think? Why don't you get started tonight with our discussion?
It really is just insane that people don't understand what defamation or what libel is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're just pointing out some things, and apparently somebody thinks that's defaming somebody.
Right.
And it doesn't make any sense. That's basically all I can say about this. I mean, like, when you're just trying to make a point that isn't offensive, that's not defamation. That's just simply pointing you out, calling you out. And if you don't like it, well, that's tough. It's not a crime. It's not. It's like, just take the hit, dude.
Yeah, and the standards for actual defamation are pretty high.
Yeah, pretty damn high.
Especially since this all happened in the United States on U.S. servers, so there were certain First Amendment protections for criticism and parody. The other thing is, I could verifiably prove, at least as a valid opinion, everything that I claimed to know about this person.
Right.
I only spoke to my direct interactions with this person, and these were the results. And by the way, here's photographs.
Here's the evidence.
Here's photographs and screen caps of all of the conversations. When you tell somebody they can't guest star on a show because they need to lose 70 pounds,
yeah.
Let's point out something, that violations of privacy. And we'll get to that in a minute, because this person actually started posting pictures from other people's accounts as rebuttal replies in a different thread. You guys remember the Playboy model who got stripped of her title, got fired, was facing fines and possible jail time for taking pictures of somebody in a health club?
Yes.
This is that level of stupid. I said, based on my interactions, this is what and I was basically telling people, just don't engage the guy. I'm like, he's a troll, and sometimes he says fucked up stuff. That's not a crime. Advising people not to invite trouble upon themselves. That's the model we should all aspire to. Don't feed the trolls, kids.
Don't feed the trolls.
Yep. I don't know. Anybody else have similar experiences or thoughts on this?
Thankfully, I've never had to deal with trolls, but I'm pretty sure I probably would not handle it very well.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a public enough figure to get much attention of that kind, but
right.
Yeah, I imagine it would be very frustrating.
Yeah. I deal with them quickly. I block them.
Yes.
I should have done that. I should have done that right off the bat, but it was so obtuse. It was so deranged. And it came out of nowhere too. And I'm just like, wait a minute, why are you sock puppeting and white knighting for this person? Who the hell are you? You don't even have an account. And the only post that you have on your account is one literally telling people to go harass somebody via their telephone number because they said something nasty about somebody you don't like.
Doxing. Ooh.
Yeah, that's why I backed out. I was just like, I'm done. I cleared out my last few posts, the ones I made after I blocked the person.
Mm-hmm.
I cleared all that out and just vacated the thread. And then I left the whole group. I'm just like, apparently there's a lot of toxicity in groups going on Facebook right now, and I'm seeing it crop up all over my feed.
Yeah.
It's like too many members and not enough mods.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like with Twitter. Both Twitter and Facebook have gotten too big to really control.
You know, when you've got a group that has over 30,000 members, I think you should probably have more than 4 moderators.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, I think you're usually aiming for no more than like a, I don't know, 5,000 to 1 ratio.
Depends on your mod staff. Yeah. Like, you maybe 5%. Like, if you have over 30,000 people, you can do at least 5% have some sort of moderation privileges. Not like full-on administrator, but like be able to like lock threads and or throw people out.
This is bad. Nothing that gets reported to these groups. And I'm gonna spread this around a little bit so it's more fair. There's a few groups I'm a member of that are too big for their britches, but don't have, it's like they grew so fast they didn't bring in anybody as moderators. They're just letting the inmates run the asylum. And what's bad about it is none of them are actually really policing the threads. So you report in a group, when you report on Facebook, it goes to the group admins and moderators first. And then you have to keep pressing the system to also send it to Facebook for review. And they have this microscopically small tree. It's like there is no direct link, there is no direct method for reporting harassment. And Facebook's response to that is kind of blasé anyway. They're just kind of like, I'll just block the person. And I'm like, then that means I can't see what they're doing if they're throwing me under the bus in other threads. Unless they tag me directly, I will never see their posts again. So that doesn't help. Then I have to go and tell the community, hey, if anybody sees this person talking shit about me, let me know. Observe and report. And it's like, it was just very disheartening, I have to say. It's like, I guess I've arrived as a public figure when people are mad enough about what I say to actually try to threaten legal litigation if I don't stop talking to them. But I didn't really think I had that big of a bat. It's particularly funny when you see other people saying literally exactly the same thing that you've just said, but you're the one singled out for it. It's like, wait a minute. Literally, this last guy just told you to go get an enema because you're full of shit. How is that not worse than what I just said?
Yeah, you were quite tame compared to something like that.
I know. I'm kind of proud of myself, though. Aside from bringing it up here on the show tonight, it's like I was pretty restrained. I just quoted legal statute and said, I was actually talking to other people who are around it who were more unsettled by the whole thing than I was. You know, it's like reassuring them that this is idiocy and that they need to not worry about it. But hey, I'm wading into a Shark Tank because apparently this guy's a big litigator.
Apparently.
And I don't know that for certain. It's like, I'm pretty sure that was said by nobody ever. Anyone who's a big litigator doesn't have to go around saying, I'm a big litigator, and you don't know that I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think if you're a litigator, you pimp yourself up. You basically say, "Hey, I'm taking you to court," and that's all you say.
I wouldn't even say that much. I just let the subpoena do talking. You know?
Yeah, you let the subpoena do the talking.
I did get fitting revenge. All of these genuinely defamatory posts I reported to Facebook, which is, by the way, if you have a community remedy for any kind of slander, libel, or defamation, the first course of action is to either appeal to the local authority or simply request that it be taken down. The courts are kind of unforgiving on plaintiffs who try to bring suit against people frivolously for defamation if you don't first appeal to the community and the basic decency of the original person. You know,
which in this case, Facebook has things for that.
Yep. So I led by example. All of these posts calling me things from crusty used Kleenex to something about shit stains and being thrown out of parties on my face and stuff like that. Reported every single one of them. All of them were deleted. Apparently, Facebook agrees with me. Funny that.
Yeah, that works.
Also, another funny matter. It's like, this is Facebook. Do you know who I am? Do you know what I do? Do you know what I'm willing to do to somebody who actually tries to hurt me or my family? Okay, maybe we're not talking Taken level, but I could do it metaphorically through the legal system. You know, and nothing gets my gears going more than putting spools through the mill for threatening me. In that particular aspect, I take a rather Jonathan Archer-esque tack that I don't respond well to threats. Of course, I only say that because you know, guys, I've never actually seen season 3 of Enterprise.
I think you were mentioning
telling us about this.
Yeah, I slogged through it, and I got to tell you, maybe not quite as bad as Chuck suggested. I don't know if I'd pack the DVD box set with a ladder and a noose, but I would definitely pack it with Patron. Because you got to be drinking something to get all the way through that season without help. The Xindi conflict was... And also, you would have thought that it would have ended with Azadi Prime, but nope, they kept on going. Also, I don't understand any of Archer's decisions in that arc. I'm just like, you could have just gone home. It would have been a hell of a lot easier. We're gonna take our one and only fastest ship with all of our state-of-the-art tech and send it into a place that is absolutely loaded to the gills with hostiles and hope for the best. Man, there were some mental gymnastics getting through the leaps of logic necessary to actually, quote unquote, enjoy this story arc. Also, I have said in the past that season 4 is probably what Enterprise should have been from the beginning. I'm recanting on that. It's not that good. So, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know that much specific about Enterprise at all, but
did we really need a 3-part episode with Brent Spiner as one of Dr. Noonien Soon's ancestors?
probably not. Considering that the suspiciously identical ancestor thing is... I mean, I'm not going to say it's not something that makes sense in Star Trek, but, like, there are other ways of dealing with that.
Well, and if
I'm sure Brent Spiner enjoyed it.
If he's in prison forever, how is he going to have progeny?
Conjugal visits?
All the augments were killed with nothing of any real value learned. So I'm like, so we basically had 3 completely wasted fanwank episodes that had like shades of Khan and referenced the Botany Bay, and the Klingons got a little bit mad, and something else I don't remember from what little of Enterprise I watched first run is I don't remember Enterprise suddenly becoming that badass. Like, it is literally the only Starfleet vessel out this far, and yet they consistently go toe-to-toe with the Klingons, who have an entire battle fleet that could lay waste to pretty much everything that would become the Federation.
But, Mac, they had special effects technology now. What are they supposed to do? Not have big old starship fights all the time?
I don't know. The whole trend of, well, it's a new season, so let's reintroduce technology you already know with a slightly different name. Out of nowhere, they just started using the transporter. Photonic torpedoes pissed me off. I don't think I've been that angry since phase pistols were introduced in the first episode.
Because if I recall correctly, they were canonically using lasers up until, what, almost the Pike years?
Well, there's some debate on how canonical the cage is, because although it's part of the menagerie, there is some apocrypha. But yeah.
Apocrypha? I barely know
I'm not sure how that joke works.
You're implying it works.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my Star Trek journey right now. I'm going to finish season 4. There's a few good episodes in there, but it's like after that massive 24 episode slog through the Xindi, I can't go back to episodic TV. It would be like if Discovery suddenly became episodic in season 2. It's like, I hope that if they get a full second season of that show, because I'm not sure how the season 2 renewal is actually going to work. I hope that if they do get a second, that when they get into the second season, that they subdivide it into story arcs instead of just 15 to 22 one-offs. Because that would kind of tick me off after watching 15 straight episodes of pretty amazing Star Trek storytelling. It's a bit dark, I'll give it that, and I mean both the lighting and the tone. But I don't have any problems looking. What's odd is there's so many people getting mad about canon, and I look at this show and it's like, I don't even have to go that cross-eyed to not be bothered by any of it anymore. I'm suddenly like, I think if you asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like, if it doesn't look like the original series, it can't be before the original series. I'd be like, where's my, where's my little comm panels attached to crinkle stalks? Although I gotta say,
I guess there's sort of a weird thing where it doesn't have to look the same, because like aesthetic preferences change over time. But like if it looks too advanced, that can be problematic. And another part of the thing is that what looks advanced changes over the years, which is the real world reason why Star Trek looks different over time.
A lot of people complained about the light bars and micro switches and levers on the original series, and I said, right, but let me ask you something. when you look at those displays, do you have any idea what they do? Because they're not marked. They're literally just pressing flashing lights.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, it's either poor production design, or if you use your imagination a little bit, they just know what it does by the colored lights.
Mm.
There was one cool thing in the cage that you could see more clearly in the menagerie because of the colorization. The navigation console was entirely driven by waving your hand over it, like a theremin almost.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty goddamn advanced for 1965.
Though it is technology that we're working on now, kind of.
Well, I just thought it was interesting. You know, there were no in the cage and Where No Man Has Gone Before. The navigation console didn't have any buttons. They actually regressed as the series went on, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I don't know.
Maybe that was like the hot new technology thing that Starfleet went in on, but then like actual operators found it awkward and didn't like it, so they went back.
I don't know. All right, well, we're getting near the end of the show there, so I think we had a pretty productive beginning.
Mm-hmm.
A little off track at the end there, but that was because we had no formal topics set.
So basically, it's podcast as usual.
Pretty much. Petty Finn, please tell me we have something planned for soon.
Potentially. People still need to get back to me because Thanksgiving break screwed everything up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're waiting for contact back, but we should have something from the D-pad fairly early in December. So.
Okay, well, December is literally 2 days away. It's literally a day and a half away. So
I'm gonna see if I can get them in the first or second show period in December.
Let me know when you nail them down, and I will try and nail down my guess then.
I believe December 5th would be the first December show of the season.
So 5th or 12th.
Yep. I'm down for anything.
I just don't want to play with being close to Christmas if I can help it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously. So we have up until the week before Christmas, and then we go back on hiatus for a week or two. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes for New Year's and all that good stuff.
Okay.
I think last time New Year's Day fell on show day. And nobody wanted to do that.
New Year's Day is a Monday this year.
For now.
Hopefully
I don't think it's going to change.
You don't know that?
Yep. Hopefully we'll have more ideas soon for the Portside Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seems dubious. They're all like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, I'm sure there will be material.
There'll be material. It's just...
The problem is that the material is not necessarily stuff that I'm looking forward to. I would honestly rather there was not stuff to bitch about politics or stuff for a week.
We unfortunately do not get that luxury.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Nope. All right. Well, that's it for this week, folks. Be sure to join us next week when I'm sure we'll talk about more stuff and things. Until then, I am your host, Mac Paladin, on behalf of the crew at MSP. Thanks for listening, and stay safe out there, kids.